Well, so much for the music. Yeah, but it's all mine, so I guess that makes a difference, right? At least I guess so. So the first piece was from another part of a score I did back in 2009 on that movie I was making, The Crimson Thread, and the second one was from Santa Finds His Elves. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed that. Of course, you can see I have the chat on. Hello, everyone. I'm Roy Potter. This is the live stream version of the Potter Expositor. Again, welcome. I'm hoping everything's working. The sound's good. You know, the monitor says it is. As a matter of fact, it might be a little loud, actually. So if you're getting any problems with, you know, that staticky, scratchy sound when I talk, I can turn it down a little bit if I need to. And we'll see where we can go from here. All right, let's see. All right, did Roy hit the button by accident? Yeah, well, I think everything's still working here. All right, let me know if everybody can hear it okay. Not too loud, perfect. Okay, great. We'll just go from there. Today is let me make sure I get this right. You know how often I get the dates wrong. The 24th of March, 2018. And you'll notice I called this little time that we're going to have together, I titled it Imperialust. Not Imperialist, but I invented a new word and I called it Imperialust. Because that's what we're facing. And I wanted everybody to understand that. I'd like to say that we're out of the bad times, but I'm afraid that in fact we're just I'm afraid that the way things are looking, I'm not sure. All I know is we better be ready no matter what we do. Okay, so sorry I'm getting calls coming in. They are kind of important, so I thought I'd better take those, at least look at them. I will try to do a little more of the chat room tonight, but I'm going to leave it open. I'm still a little bit nasal, a little bit under the weather, but I wanted to make sure that I covered this tonight. You know, man, it was amazing. I don't want to walk over anybody's programs. There are tons and tons of people doing live streaming shows or podcasts or, you know, whatever. You know, but it's never my intention to walk over anybody else's program. So hopefully I selected a half-decent time this evening as far as that goes. It's not a good time maybe for a lot of people to come and take part, but of course it'll be uploaded and everybody can go see it, which I guess is a good thing. All right, so Imperialust. If you saw my last video, I was definitely remarking about some things that had happened with the omnibus bill and the entire idea that our military is in such disarray that we have to sacrifice everything else, including unborn children, to make sure that the military is taken care of. Well, my question is, and I'm still on this rant, my question is, you remember when George Bush said that the Al-Qaeda and the Taliban attacked us because they hate our freedoms? No, George Bush hates our freedoms. The deep state hates our freedoms. And the freedoms that they want were the New World Order to go and rape the world for whatever resources they wanted and to take advantage of the people. So that's the freedoms that they were concerned about, not your freedoms, talking about the Bill of Rights, but their freedoms to do what they... Remember, everything is about them. Remember what he said? You're either with us, what we're telling you we're going to do, and you better go along with it, or you're with the terrorists. And you've got to remember that. And it's going to tick off a lot of people where I'm going to go with this tonight, but I'm afraid it's necessary. Okay? So imperialust. Well, that's the idea that there's going to be American hegemony, U.S. hegemony throughout the world that will control everything. That we're going to, if any of you saw Last of the Mohicans, it was a movie with Daniel Day-Lewis, and the British, I guess it was a colonel or a major, I don't remember, but he said they're going to make the world England. Well, that same attitude exists in Washington, D.C. and in New York. And they're pawns of the British Crown and the New World Order. Remember, it's part of the triangle, right? Vatican, London, and D.C. D.C. being the military arm of the New World Order. So, we start all these wars, regime change. We do. I mean, I'm not going to go through the history of it. Obviously, you know, it's been happening. If you just look at it, we haven't had a just war in 40 years, if not 50, probably over 50. It's probably. I'm not even sure World War II was when we find out, of course, all the things that happened about how that came about with the bankers, you know, doing the entire thing. But regardless, they keep pushing the military thing. Eisenhower said, look out for the military-industrial complex because that's a source of danger. In his farewell speech, he said that. So I hear, you know, this omnibus going on, and at first Trump is going to veto it, and then, of course, he doesn't. And then I'm watching this fierce battle back and forth about why he did it, why he shouldn't have done it, and all that. Well, I was certainly on the side of why he shouldn't have done it. And we can talk about that a little bit tonight. That's kind of what I'm doing. I'm not dead set in stone on this because I made a caveat in that video, and I said, if he's going to use the military to take down the deep state, you know, the New World Order, those things in our country, these foreign expeditionary adventures, we need to stop. We have an enemy here at home. We don't need to be going and making more around the world. Now, there will be people that say, oh, but, you know, he's going after Al-Qaeda, he's going after ISIS, he's doing that. Yeah, but don't forget who created it in the first place. The very same people that are still sitting in the Pentagon and in the CIA and in the shadow government and in the halls of power. So to fund your enemy, unless he has absolute control of the military, is a very dangerous thing at this point. I'm not saying I'm against it, but I haven't seen any evidence that he's in full control at this point. Does he have something on the outside hidden that nobody can see? Well, I don't see any proof of that, do you? Nobody's been arrested yet. Nobody's in chains, you know? So I don't know. But that would be the caveat, and I made it during that video, that if that's where this money's going to go, then, you know, that would be a good thing. Well, then, I didn't even mention the wall in my video. Why? Because I've always considered the wall to be really a stupid-ass idea, frankly. You know, walls keep you in as well as keep people out, you know? I mean, think about it. We're actually taking people from outside our country, and we're accepting them without passports. What do you have to go to Mexico and to come back in? You have to have a passport issued to you. So it's controlling you almost more than it's controlling the influx. The other way to control all this would have been to stop the social handout programs in the United States. That way you get the people that really are willing to work. However, there are the drug cartels, and I recognize that. So that you realize, in case you didn't know, that I'm not necessarily opposed to a wall, but I understand the military requirements if you're going to have a barrier. A barrier, I don't care how good you think it is, I don't care how deep it goes or how high it is or how thick it is. If you don't have surveillance on the barrier, it's not going to work. You could have the biggest, baddest wall in the world. If you don't have eyes on it, it's not going to work. So, just so you know, I want everybody to go see this if you want to. Back in 2011, I did 2 documentaries at the same time. I worked on both of them. One, maybe you've seen on my channel here, it's called Homeless Camps. It's about homeless people, especially vets, and the differences that when vets are there helping people to get through this hard time, things go a little better than without the vets because of the vets' training, etc. It's still bad that they're homeless, but their training they freely use to help other people. That's the first documentary. It's on this channel. It has like 200,000 views now, I think. It's called Homeless Camps. The second I was making at the same time was called Mexican Drug War, right? Actually, it's called Borders. I'm sorry, Borders, B-O-R-D-E-R-S. Borders, Mexican Drug War or Insurgency. And after looking at the situation in Mexico, and the Fast and Furious thing was going on about that time. As a matter of fact, I ran into some semis that were actually transporting some of that stuff. We were not just helping the cartels out, we were causing an insurgency. Our DOJ, our ATF, our FBI, our president were actually causing an insurgency, not just an escalation of the drug war, on both sides of the border, but an insurgency in Mexico that was spilling over into the United States. And I made that video, and in that, I talked to you about the border. And I say in this video, in 2011, that the military, active military, instead of going on all of these expeditionary adventures and the regime changes and all these false flags and all these criminal wars overseas, should be watching our border. I said that in 2011. Go look at it. I say it several times, but I actually went to the Buenos Aires National Wildlife Refuge, where we knew that a large part of that refuge had been closed off to Americans, supposedly because of the dangers of the drug cartels. Really? Well, they had National Guard there, but I tell you from firsthand experience, something else was going on there that they didn't want Americans there. I'm just going to leave it at that. But the fact of the matter is, I called it at that time that the military should be on the border. That the wall, no matter how it was at the time, was pretty dilapidated. You'll see in places where it was ridiculous. People on the border on the American side were scared to death, and the Border Patrol couldn't even protect them. And certainly the United States government wasn't going to. And I was there on this one interview. I asked this one rancher to do an interview, and they agreed. They had been in the news, and I went there and I talked to them. They didn't want to go on camera because the cartels found out I was doing this documentary, and they came and threatened the family. Yeah, that happened. Well, during that time, just to make sure that they got the message, the son of this rancher went down in a pickup truck to do some irrigation right close to the Rio Grande River. Some cartel members, Zetas, came across. The guy had a .357 Magnum on his front seat. They took the keys out of the truck. I don't know where this guy, no situational awareness at all. Takes the keys out of the truck, takes the .357, locks the vehicle. They go back over the river. They fire the gun. He looks over and they're waving the keys at him. It was a warning. So those people wouldn't give me an interview. I had to go to a whole entire different family. That was typical. People were afraid, and they still are to this day. The people on the border are afraid, and our government has refused to help them until now. Okay? So, I'm not against the wall, but it's not really the entire answer, and it certainly had nothing to do, really, with my comments the other day. I was more worried about some other things, which I'm going to be talking about here, but I'm going to say this one more time. If the wall doesn't have, I don't care how good it is, if the wall doesn't have constant surveillance on it, a barrier, have constant surveillance, it's worthless. Okay? So we do need military on our border. So should the funding of this omnibus bill go to that? Absolutely. Absolutely. I just don't want it to be an excuse for the military-industrial complex and the generals and the other officers and the senior executive service people to foment more wars overseas. Now, Trump's done a good job on taking care of things as far as the CIA assets in Afghanistan and other places, I might add. Okay, but a lot of the things that we see are fomented, are created by the military-industrial complex, and that includes uniformed and civilians in the DoD and the Pentagon, and in the CIA, and in the FBI, etc., etc. I don't want any more money spent on these aggressive regime change, really to steal resources or to force them into our banking system around the world. I don't want that anymore. We will be willing, this omnibus bill was willing to fund that, right? And what about Planned Parenthood? Now, there's been an argument about that. Oh, it's only $500 million. Oh, there's a provision there they can't use the money for abortions. Let me give you an example. You buy oranges, okay? And I'm telling you, you can't buy oranges anymore. Okay, I'm going to give you some money, but you can't buy oranges anymore. You have to buy apples. Okay? So here's the money to buy the apple. What does that do to the money that you used to spend? It frees it up so you can go buy the oranges. Do you get it? So whether they're actually prohibiting money going to abortions or not, and that was the conditions. It was for rape, incest, or, and this is always the catch-all, it was a big thing in the Mormon Church. It still is because of the huge loop in here, for medical reasons. That's the catch-all. A woman can come in and say she's stressed, and that's considered a medical reason. Now, I'm not trying to tell a woman what to do. Frankly, if you want to kill your own baby, that's your problem and your salvation. You're going to regret it in eternity, if not sooner. All right? But I'm not even going to argue that point. I'm going to argue the point that I don't want my money going to killing, whether it's by our military machine or by an abortion clinic done by anybody, but particularly Planned Parenthood. And unfortunately, that distinction in there is not good enough for me. Okay, so that was my point in my video the other night. All right, let me see here. The marches against the Second Amendment that are going on. Whoa. You know what? When have we seen that kind of action from the right wing, from the conservatives, from the Christians? There is a demonstration coming up in D.C., I think it's on April 4th or April 7th. You'll have to pardon me, I don't know. Go to Tracy Bean's channel. She'll tell you about it. I should have checked on it before I came on air. But it's supposed to be a big event. I'm not going to be able to go because I'm back in surgery again at that time. But I would have gone if that hadn't been the case. No, I can't postpone it, unfortunately, under the circumstances. So here's an opportunity to do it. And you can do it in your local areas too to support it. If any of you want to jump on that train, I would suggest you do. But the point is, I saw this video. It's one of the people that's been on the air a lot. You know, there's a guy and then there's a girl. Well, supposedly a girl. And this girl is holding the Bill of Rights, and there are a bunch of girls around her, and she rips the Bill of Rights apart, which I found to be fascinating. Why? Because here she is exercising her First Amendment rights, and she's using it to tear up the Bill of Rights that gives her the right to do that. The hypocrisy of the educational system and the left and what they've done to the minds of our youth is abomination, absolute tyrannical abomination, and they are the enemy. I don't mean the kids, I mean the educational system that's pushing all this, firing teachers for not wanting to take part in it, or holding their students, allowing their students not to take part in it, or suspending kids who don't want to take part in it. Forced political activism. Holy crap. Yes, if Trump uses the money to counter these attacks upon our constitutional republic and our culture, have at it, President Trump. But I'm afraid that we're not going to see that, because we have people controlling Trump that have imperial lust, who wanted to see the downfall of this country anyway. Look how, I mean, he's done a lot of good things. I'm not saying he hasn't. But my two canaries in the coal mine, only once happened, and that was probably a fluke because of the BLM agent that blew the whistle on what the DOJ and the FBI had done. I'm talking about in the Bundy case. But all these other yahoos are still walking around free. So we've got a problem. So that was my issue. And those are the things I wanted to bring up in that video. You know, whether he can get money for the wall and have the Corps of Engineers do it, fine. I used to work for the Corps of Engineers. I was a provost marshal, a security and law enforcement officer for the Corps of Engineers. I understand how they work. I know what the hell that is. But, okay, the wall isn't the only thing. Okay? We could actually secure our border without a wall. We could. And I show in the Borders documentary how to do that. Much more effectively, by the way, probably. Not against the wall, but everybody wants to make this thing against Trump over the wall, okay? He could probably still build it with the funds in the military budget, but that's where it better go. Not on these adventures overseas. Not on allowing the military-industrial complex to go kill. You know, there's an old thing we used to say in the Army. You know, oh yeah, come and join the Army, visit new lands, see new people, and then kill them. And that's exactly how it's gone. I don't want to see that. And if it does, you know, we can't keep doing that. Allowing our babies to be killed and our people to be ignored and suffer while we go over there and cause more suffering under these banners of liberation and a regime change and democracy, which we're not supposed to be anyway. To see that happening is going to, I mean, it's going to be bad. You know, if you believe in God and a judgment, look at what the book of Revelation says. I heard Cernovich saying this the other day, as a matter of fact. I was really surprised to hear him quoting the book of Revelations. You know, bad stuff. And it just seems like the people in charge just get away with it with impunity. Is Trump going to do something? Like I said, I'm waiting to see the fruits. And I'm not talking about the economy. I've said from the beginning, to make America great again, you got to make America free again. And look at how they're trying to clamp down on the Second Amendment. Even Trump talked about, oh, bumps not big. You know, I know some of this is politics, but you give an inch and they take a mile or 100 miles. So we can't give anymore. We can't do it. And if it takes a military operation, I hate to say it, you know, there's a guy that I know. I'm not going to say his name. He's very active in the militia movement and some other things. I am not in the militia movement. I know this guy. I mean, acquaintance type thing. You know, I met him at Bundy Ranch, and he talks about these people that want the martial law are crazy. Well, unfortunately, I've looked at this for a long time, and I don't see any other way around it. As far as the military taking care of the problems with these criminals, I'm not even going to say traitors, because there is a problem with treason, what it really involves. That they have to prove that in some other ways, but certainly criminal behavior and the efforts to overthrow the government, sedition, etc. That they should go after. Trump needs to go after him, but I still am not seeing it. Okay, I'm beating that dead horse. I just wanted to bring it up. But this hypocrisy in the educational system, and that girl tearing that Bill of Rights up as she's exercising her First Amendment rights it just made me vomit, almost literally. It's really crazy. Okay, we hear that the Washington, D.C. elites are heading to their bunkers. Didn't we say that something was going to happen in March? It's going to go down the line. Whether they're hiding from this attack that Trump is going to make, or if they know if something else is going to happen, I don't know the details. What can we do about it? Not a whole heck of a lot, but you better, as Stefan Molyneux said in his presentation, I think it was yesterday night, maybe it was this morning, I don't remember. He said you better get your friends and your family, people you can trust around you, because you're going to need them. Prep, pray, and stay out of the way as best as you can, because there's no fighting that behemoth. You're going to have a hard enough time just surviving from day to day with water, food, keeping the disease off of you, whatever. So anyway, they're apparently doing so. That was in the Washington Examiner, by the way, that they're going to these readouts. So this is nothing surprising. We've known it for a long time, but they're actually taking some efforts now to do that. The Seth Rich investigator was shot in the back twice. It doesn't hardly even make the news. And yet, believing that Seth Rich could have been the leaker, or at least part of that leaking operation, and that he was shot to cover that up, is considered a conspiracy theory. Boy, that little phrase by the CIA just keeps, showing its ugly head, doesn't it? It sure does a good job. Everybody's a conspiracy theorist, right? Yeah. Investigating, an ongoing homicide investigation is a conspiracy theory. And Americans buy this baloney. It's just amazing to me. Oh, he's shot by an ex-Navy guy. I think he's Navy. Marine, sorry. Marines, I know. An ex-Marine, you probably don't want to claim this guy, who worked for the Department of Energy. Gee, I wonder if there was some kind of a MK Ultra or some other thing. He could have just been a crazy guy, but I don't think so. It almost doesn't sound right. Goes along with my problem with the Austin bombings, which I put out on Twitter and here. Okay? All right. Okay. I think those are pretty much all the things I wanted to discuss. I am worried about what's coming next. We need to see something. Now, again, I'm not following the Q thing, and there's nothing wrong with that if you do. There are some indications there that there's supposed to be some big things happening this weekend. You make statements like that, and almost anything could be a big thing, right? I'll make it real definitive, okay? If we don't see arrests, and I mean see arrests, don't hear about them, not have hearsay, but I mean see people on the boob tube in handcuffs being escorted into a federal holding facility or in court, I'm not believing any of it, okay? I'm not. I got to see it. And to say that it's going on behind the scenes is a disservice to the American people, especially Trump's base, if he's really doing something to hide that. Oh, we got to keep our operation secret? Who are you keeping it secret from? It's like people saying, oh, he really fooled them on this omnibus bill. Are you kidding me? You think he fooled them on the omnibus bill? He sneaked things in there they didn't know about? You really think that the Dems, who have been doing this for how long? Since the KKK in the 1860s, 70s? You think they're that stupid that they would let Trump get by with a system that's going to take them down? Do you really believe that? Or the deep state, the shadow government, with all that it has at its disposal? I saw a thing here where supposedly the CIA has been taken out of the equation now. I don't see anybody in handcuffs. People say that, they're filling up Guantanamo right now. Why the big secret? Oh, because the American people can't handle it? Well, I'll tell you who can't handle it if they don't see it, and that's Trump's base. Okay? The people, and Cernovich made this point as well, and he's right, and I don't care what anybody else says. If the Republicans, the people that support the Republicans, let's just say the conservatives, don't see something other than just this economic balance going on, I'm not saying that's bad, but that's not going to save the republic. Merely making money is not going to save the republic. We have to have a change in hearts and minds on a massive scale. And right now, a lot of the conservatives are saying, what difference do we see between what's happening now and if the Dems were in? Well, of course, Hillary would have speeded the process up at a bare minimum. I'm not saying I'd want her in, and a lot of people have said that. But the point is, we're coming up on these midterms. And if nobody sees some real action on the ground here, things may not go well in the fall. And we'll only have ourselves to blame and those that we trusted blindly without being active and out there. That's why this demonstration coming up that Tracy Beans is helping to put on in April, just 2 weeks away, I think. Yeah. In D.C. is so critical. That will be an important thing. Or you're going to see this whole thing fall apart real, real fast. Or it will turn into a dictatorship, which I don't want that. I'm rambling on here. I just wanted to make sure everybody knew where I was coming from. All right, let's see what's going on in the chat room. All right, 5G is the biggest problem. Absolutely. I mean, we're staring down the barrel of a 155 howitzer. We got our head right in the muzzle on this 5G thing. Absolutely. But as I said in the last video, Trump did stop the Chinese from taking control of it here in our country. That doesn't get us out of the red. That doesn't protect us all the way, but it does give us a little breathing room. But he's got to act on it. The chemtrails, the spraying of these things in the stratospheric aerosol injection, that's got to stop. That's killing people. That might be where all this stuff's coming from that people are feeling. The sickness I've had, etc. Okay, and of course if you go to Pam Jones' channel, you know, she'll tell you the 5G put her in the hospital, and along with the chemtrail spraying, she's not been well. And I think that's the case with a lot of people. So that we haven't seen any efforts to stop that. And again, I know you can't do everything at once, okay? But getting the economy going, talking about the money first, and continuing with that. You know, this bubble in the stock market could bust any day, and then they're going to blame that on Trump. He's really walking a tightrope here, and I know that. But if I had been him, I wouldn't have taken credit for the stock market. I'd have just said, wow, isn't this great? I wouldn't have said, yeah, I did it because of what I did. Because if it falls now, guess what? They're going to say, yeah, you did it. But anyway, my point is that we needed to change the hearts and minds of the people. And yeah, you do that a little bit by helping them out financially, but we need to be teaching principle. Principle, not personality. Principle, not money. Sorry, I keep going on. Yeah, there is apparently some DEW microwave weapons that are being used on, especially on conservatives, you know, people that do things like what we're doing here. I do think that there are some of those things going on. I don't think it's that pervasive yet, but I do believe it's there. I mean, we saw it with Michael Hastings, whether that was, you know, them taking over his computer in his car or whatever. But there have been those types of things. And it can cause headaches. We saw it in Cuba, remember? People at the Cuban embassy were talking about they had headaches and all that, and they never really revealed what it was, but we're pretty sure it was microwave attacks. So, yeah, that's been going on. Okay, somebody say, well, the omnibus bill is not a budget. Look, this is a semantic thing. Okay, it's still dealing money out. Does Trump actually have complete control of it? Well, not according to the people I'm talking to, who know pretty well how this thing works. Again, if you really think that the Dems would have allowed something to get by that could take them down, or the deep state, do you think they'd let it happen? I mean, come on, people. Are they really that stupid? No. They're not that stupid. There's a problem with the omnibus bill, okay? There is. Even Trump said it, although now everybody's trying to say, he just outwitted him. It's 3D chess again. I'm not saying he didn't pull off a couple of things here. But it's not what everybody's now trying to make it out that's all pro, it's always patting Trump on the back and practically worshiping as if he's God Almighty. All right? He's not. And I don't mind saying it. I'll tell you another story. Okay? People complain about the fact that I'm hard on him. Well, think about King David. Think about the prophet Nathan telling King David that he needed to straighten up. Okay? We have to do that. We have to hold their feet to the fire. I've actually talked about Trump being more like King Saul. King Saul was given a commandment to do something to the, I forget the name of them now. Not the Amorites, but at any rate. He was supposed to kill them all. I'm not saying that's a nice thing, but the point is in the story he was told that he had to do that. And he didn't. What did he do? He went and saved his friends, the king of these people in particular. Okay? Well, all right, he didn't take out the opposition. Is this sounding familiar? He didn't take out the opposition. As a matter of fact, he helped them to slip away. In the process of that, there's a battle, and King Saul is killed. And if you remember the story, there was a guy who saw King Saul get killed, and he thought that he'd run to King David and say, I killed Saul, isn't this great? And then King David killed him. The point is, I'm not after Trump. I don't want him to fail. But in my estimation, certainly from his base, certainly from the people that voted him in, they want to see those who have committed crimes be held responsible for their actions. And to fail to do so, he will do the same thing Saul did in not destroying those enemies. This is our last chance, ladies and gentlemen. That's why what else are we going to do? We have to give Trump the opportunity. Do these war plans take time? Like I've said before, I could convict some of these people. At least charge them. At any rate, the point is that Trump's got to act. And if his base doesn't see it happen, it's not going to go well here very shortly. Oh, come on. The more I rant, the more I'm getting people. Oh, come on. I'm a nobody, okay? I'm giving you my opinion on something. Lieutenant Colonel Ralph Peters, who was on Fox News, right? He finally said, I'm not going to renew my contract with Fox News. Listen to that. Okay, I got to have some professional courtesy here. Listen to his analyses. You think he did this country any good because he was a yes man to the establishment? Or to the Republican Party? I said it before. I will stand on principle all by myself if I have to. I don't give a damn. Because I know the trouble we're in. I will stand on principle even if no one else will. And Trump should be the same way. Yes, pray for the president. But right now, he's being plagued by the military-industrial complex if he doesn't put those troops on the border along with this wall situation. Corps of Engineers, fine. They want to build it, that's fine. Again, my video wasn't about the wall. I wasn't talking about that. I was talking about the problem that we have of doing these military things, killing people overseas and then allowing our babies to be killed here and our innocent people. All right. Yeah, your ears constantly ringing, especially if it just started here recently. It's very possible it's Wi-Fi or even the next upgrade to 5G networks. That's one of the symptoms. Blurred vision, dizziness, vertigo, lethargy, depression. And if, in fact, some of you have these nanotech particles already in you, and most of us probably do, they've been spraying it on us for how long, putting it in our food and our water, who knows? those nanotech particles are going to react, are going to resonate with those waves and do certain things. And people will laugh at that. Ha ha ha, yeah, right. Have you ever watched the sound experiments with water or with ice crystals or with sand or these other things on vibration diaphragms? You know, if they do a really nice 432 kilohertz, I think it's kilohertz, sound, you get these nice, beautiful formations. But if you use like rock music or something like that, or you say you're going to kill somebody or whatever, it causes all these disturbances. These are real things, folks. Just because you can't see it doesn't mean it doesn't exist, because they do exist. Hold the family members accountable if they're on the wrong side. Now, wait a minute. Hold on. We're going to have differences of opinion. As a matter of fact, I saw that happen today. A person on Twitter who's been fairly, I wouldn't say accurate, but, you know, he's given pretty good analysis. I haven't agreed with him, but I'm not out there calling him names, right? Well, Scott Anthony was going through the omnibus bill, and he was favoring Trump. And you know, I don't agree with that. But Scott Anthony, you think I'm gonna take a hatchet to Scott Anthony because we disagree on something? I respect him, so I'm going to pay attention to what he says, even if I don't particularly believe it or can't quite, you know, process it. But this other guy actually blocked him for saying what he said. You know, the conservative movement is never going to succeed if we have that kind of pride. Pride will destroy us. Do you understand that? Satan had pride. He wanted the throne of God. Pride is dangerous. It's an evil. We must counter it with charity, okay? Long-suffering. Loving kindness, willing to talk it out. If somebody says something to you you don't like, say, well, that's one way to look at it, but what do you think about this? Why get involved in this type of juvenile behavior? And I see it throughout the conservative so-called community. That pride will destroy it. It will destroy everything we're trying to do because we're not using our hearts and minds. I've said it before, faith, hope, and charity. You know, Paul talks about that, right? Faith, he even says, faith can fail. So why do you hold somebody to a faith that you think they should espouse, right? Faith can fail. Hope can fail. You know, it may not work out the way that you want it to. Are you going to castigate somebody because they don't have the same faith and hope that you do? What abides forever? Charity, love. You may not agree with people, but you don't have to treat them bad in the process. Call them names, accuse them of things. We need the interaction. How are you going to change somebody's mind if you hang up on them when they're trying to talk to you about their opinion? Or if you cut them off? Jesus said, I am not sent to the well. The well don't need a physician. I'm going to the sick. I mean, that pretty much says it all. Okay. Okay, yeah, I appreciate that. Roy is hard on Trump for a good reason. But Trump needs time. I know that. I realize that. But I also know when I see an initiative being lost. Like I said, this big trust that Trump knew exactly what he was doing by manipulating the Dems and the deep state into this omnibus bill, and he's really taken them over. They're not that stupid. Think about it. Are they doing the feint? Are they trying to figure out his next move? Did you ever look at it from their point of view? That maybe they're giving him enough rope to hang himself. Did you ever think about that? Stop being tunnel visioned. Start looking at the big picture. Back away from it and look at the big picture. Don't be the private in the frickin' foxhole on the front line where the only thing you see is people shooting at you from 10 feet away. Back up to where the commander is and take a look at the entire battlefield so that you get a clear picture of what's going on. Don't think that they can't do to him what you think he's doing to them. And be ready, be prepared, prep, pray, and stay out of the way. Okay, trust Trump is a genius. You know, I see this thing coming up all the time on Twitter. Trust the plan. Trust the plan. Have you seen the plan? Do you know what the plan is? How can you trust something you have never seen? Oh, well, you trust God, you've never seen him, right? That's the retort on this, right? Faith, hope, and charity. Faith can fail. Hope can fail. Charity abideth. All right? The only person I trust is God. There's an old statement on our about what's on our bills and other things. In God we trust. All others pay cash. That includes Trump. In God we trust. All others pay cash. And that includes Trump. We don't need to worship an individual. We don't need to be, as I've said it before, a cult of personality. He's doing some good things. Yes, he needs more help. Okay? I've said it before. I am very suspicious of any military officer 06 or above that survived the Obama purges. Again, it's by their fruits you will know them. We're still hearing Trump apparently is still buying the fact that maybe that Assad used chemical weapons on his people again, and that we're going to retaliate against the Russians for allowing it to happen. Is he going to buy into that again? Like he did when he shot the missiles, a year ago now? See, those things don't make any sense. They don't make any sense, especially with all the things he said in his campaign. He knows that the intelligence community is a problem. That he even says, look at all the mess you got us in over the last 2-3 decades. And then he turns around and he believes this horse hockey? No, there's something wrong here. No, trust, no. Trust in God, all others pay cash. By their fruits. The rhetoric better be matched on what's going on the ground. If it's not, we need to make sure that he knows we see it. And to do anything else other than that is laziness. And it's blind faith. The same kind of blind faith the German people had when they followed Hitler. And I'm not saying Trump is Hitler. I'm talking about this cult of personality that you think that everything that they do is genius and that, they can't do any wrong. Right? And then look what happened in Germany. No, I will never accept that, ever. And if you don't like it, go talk to some other people that want to hear it. Then you all can have your little echo chamber, okay, and enjoy each other's company and go down to the depths of hell, because that's what's going to happen to you. All right. Trump betrayed his entire okay. It's this one guy, and I'm sorry, I'm not Danielle. You said Trump betrayed his entire platform. It might be a little early to say that, honestly. Okay, it depends on what he does in the next short little while, and I can't give him much more rope. I can't give him much more time. Okay? Because, they're no, he doesn't have that much time. He doesn't have that much time. Okay. Okay, somebody's saying here, this is me, B. Jules, get your money out of the bank this weekend. I don't know. You know, I've heard this. We've been at this stage several times. Yeah, I've heard they're supposed to be reset here pretty soon. We didn't see anything happen on Friday. There was a drop in the stock market over the possibility that Trump was going to veto the omnibus bill. And then afterward it came back up. I don't know. I'm not a financial guy. I've always said that. I don't know what to tell you. You just have to kind of figure that out on your own. But I'll tell you this, even if you get your money out of the bank, unless you immediately spend it on commodities for trade, the dollars probably won't do you any good anyway. That's the way I look at it. All right. Okay, now this is interesting. You're saying Robert Rubicon, they have something on him. He did visit the Orgy Island. Okay, yeah, you know, there were a lot of claims that he did. And you know, it's like I said on the other video I did. All of this CGI and voco, you know, being able to record your voice and to make you say and do things on camera that you didn't actually do. A lot of that could happen, so I don't know what to trust in all this, but he apparently did have a closer relationship with Jerry Epstein than he claimed. I don't know that for a fact, but there's some evidence to suggest that's the case. Is that what they've got on him? Well, well, we also heard that Donald Trump was a germaphobe and that, you know, why would he have anything to do with hookers? So who knows? Okay, you know my position on his situation with his extramarital affairs. That's what people want to call them. I have a different outlook of that. I'm not going to explain it here. I'm not saying he was right. I'm not saying he was wrong. It depends on how he handled it and what he did. Pedophilia, that's a whole other ball of wax. But I can't see him doing that. He just doesn't meet... He just doesn't meet the criteria in any way, shape, or form. No, I don't believe that. What do they have on him? I don't know that they have anything really personal on him. I'll tell you what I think they have that they're holding over his head is his family. Look what happened, and I mentioned this in the video as well last time. The helicopter that Ivanka was in had an engine failure in one of the engines. Probably, as Field McConnell said, by a system called, I think it's called FedEco or something like that. It's when they can actually, the engines have these little computer systems in them, and they can shoot like a signal and shut things down or cause malfunctions. As a warning to Trump, look, Vanessa got that Don Jr.'s wife got that powder in the mail. There were threats on Barron. Barron. Somebody would threaten Barron? Yeah, to get at Trump. So my feeling is if he has a weakness, it's his family. And understandably so. But he needs to tell us the truth. He needs to tell us. We need to know about Las Vegas. We need to know about Parkland. All these people that have been doing all of these investigations, we're not stupid. The FBI thinks we're stupid. The DOJ thinks we're stupid. You know, the people in the government think we're stupid, you know. But the evidence is there. Why not tell us the truth? Because they're going to kill his family? They're going to do that anyway. Okay? The way I look at it is he needs to go on the offensive totally. We need to know the truth about Las Vegas, about 9/11, well, 9/11 might have to wait till the next term if he makes it that long. But certainly Parkland, Las Vegas, this thing in Austin now, with the information that we have on it, that's a patsy situation set up by the FBI to cover up one of their ex-agents who went to prison for child molestation, I think, and then got out. Monty has it all on his channel. Go look at it. Yeah, okay. You're saying this here, playlist. Come on, Roy. Trump knew there would be threats on his family. Okay, and I can't disagree with you. I really can't. You know, yeah, when he took the job, he should have known that all this was going to happen and made contingency plans for it. I can't disagree with you. These people that are the enemies of the constitutional republic and of God and of all the good things, their tentacles reach far and deep. So I can't pretend like the threat for his family, you know, can be negated, or that he had to take it in stride because that's just part of the job. You know, you put yourself in that situation, it's going to be different. But I do agree that he has to go on the offensive, and he doesn't have much more time. Actually, I think it's overdue, and you've heard me say that now for a very long time. And if he doesn't take action soon, the devastation that we've seen, like in Vegas, I know some people think the whole thing is a fraud. No, it wasn't. I know people that were actually shot there. The Austin bombing thing, the Parkland shooting, all of these were real. I can tell you, I'm not so sure about some of the others we've heard about. The Riverside shooting was real, and there have been some others, but we need to act, and we can't wait much longer. We just can't. The IG report. Okay, somebody said the IG report. Then I'm going, Roy, if Trump has no action. Let's see, it's RLH1108. He says he's waiting on the IG report. I've heard differing things. I'm not an expert on this, but the IG report is being touted as being this big expose on all the things that have happened. Well, I understand that actually all that's happened there is that one person, there's been one attorney put on the case. With the IG report, one attorney put on the case. That's nothing, and that the IG was really only looking at the leaking problem. Well, I'll take it from both angles. Let's say it could be either one. Either he has an entire dossier. He has an investigation with thousands of pages that implicate different levels of criminal activity, from Hillary Clinton to McCabe to Comey to whomever, right? All of that, all right? The problem still is, who's going to prosecute? Is Sessions? People say, yeah, Sessions working behind the scenes. Well, in the last few days, I think we pretty well decided that Mueller is definitely not on Trump's team. And I haven't seen anything from Sessions to indicate that his position has changed either. That could still be, but he's not fooling anybody. Do you understand that, ladies and gentlemen? If Sessions is actually got this massive thing going on behind the scenes, do you really think that the drama supposedly being played out by Trump and Sessions is fooling the deep state, is fooling the criminals in government? No, it's not. One of the things that I heard that should be done right away, and this was from Douglas Gabriel, also known as Thomas Paine on American intelligence media, the one that talks to Betsy, he said, I know what needs to be done. Christopher Steele needs to be arrested for espionage right now. And I agree. That is important. Even if that happened, okay, I would say we're making progress, that it would send a message that we're going forward. However, it's also dangerous, but it needs to be done. So that's the first thing. So what am I saying? Even if the IG report has all this information in it, unless the military tribunals take it over, and I've heard other people say, Lionel, for instance, and I like Lionel. He says, there are not going to be any how he does it. There are not going to be any military tribunals. No, that's not going to happen. Hillary's never going to be in front of a tribunal. Probably true. But the point is, who's going to prosecute? Trump should have thought all this out ahead of time, right? That's what we think that he did. Well, we're going to find out here pretty soon. Okay. Well, arrest him yourself. When I hear people say that, you got to remember, I was in law enforcement for a number of years. Yeah, there's such a thing as citizen's arrest. But you know what? if you don't have what is called competent authority in the way things are put together right now, a citizen can make an arrest for a misdemeanor committed in his presence. Now, this is the way most state laws work, okay? A citizen can also make an arrest in some states for a felony that he or she knows in fact was committed. That's the caveat, and that the person they're arresting was the actor. So yeah, there are possibilities here, but when you start talking about espionage, okay, you're out of the realm of most people's pay grade, and that includes me. That's when we leave it to the so-called professionals. And if in fact there are no professionals left in our system that will do this, then our government deserves, and our way of life, and our entire nation deserves the destruction that we're about to go under. Okay? Yeah, the Texas guy. Go look at Monty's monographs information on that. He has some good photographs. I concur 100% with his analysis on that. Not that that means much to anybody, but I do. I think this was an ex-FBI agent, probably about 60, in his late 60s, who did this. I won't say anything more than that about it. But the kid was a patsy. I think he was set up. I don't think he did a damn thing. Go look at it and see. Well, and that's okay, Betty Gross. You will never lose hope that POTUS will get the job done. When you said they could be threatening his family, that just took the wind out of my sails. Well, you can't, and I'm so sorry, but you can't be naive here, my good lady. You can't be naive. This is a literal war we're in, which is why I keep saying that Trump needs to act. A commander that will not act on the battlefield gets relieved of duty. Do you understand? In training, I remember I was a cadet in the ROTC. I was at Fort Lewis, Washington, just as an example. And we're training to be officers, right? Everything we do is we're doing what officers do. It was a year before. I was about 10 months before I got commissioned. And we had this patrol, and you break down into squads because you're doing squad training at the time, and you come up and you start taking fire. All right, so you take cover, and with all the training that I had had up to that point, I should have known what to do. But you know what? I froze up. I did. I didn't know what to do. I forgot about fire and maneuver. I forgot about envelopments. I forgot about laying down a base of fire. I forgot about calling in artillery. I froze up. I'm being honest with you. This was probably my first field test. Okay, very first one outside of the college, where we did our training. So this was at ROTC Advanced Camp, okay, just months before you get commissioned. And I froze up. You know what happened to me for not acting, for failure to act? You know what happened? I got relieved. Rightly so. Rightly so. Failure to act violates every principle of war. Yes, you can do feints, you can do maneuvers, you can, deceive the enemy and all that, but there's a time to act, and if you fail to act, you should get relieved of duty. So I don't want these threats against his family. I love his family. I really, honestly love Trump's family. How can anybody not love them? Look what they gave up for this. I realize that. But the threat's real. It's always been real. Look what they did to Bundy Ranch. They were willing to kill Hundreds, if not thousands, of men, women, and children, the BLM, the FBI, and the DOJ that day, while the LVMPD sat by and watched from the sidelines. They were willing to do that in America. They've already shot JFK, right? Yeah, it takes the wind out of my sails in some way too, but not acting is not a choice. It's not an option. Okay, let's see here. Wyoming Patriot. That's interesting. I saw that. I got to look at that. Hold on here. That was too good. Oh, if I can get it to come down. Yeah, I don't know if I can. Yeah, rats. Well, I lost that one. Wyoming. Sorry about that. Something about the explosions. Probably underground work. Probably. Especially in Wyoming. Probably. Justice for Lavoy Finicum. Yeah. I mean, look at the FBI did. The FBI is so dirty. It's just unbelievable. True Pundit, as I said in my last video, has a series coming out on the Las Vegas shooting, showing all the stuff the FBI has done and failed to do there. Typical with those guys. You know, I keep hearing, oh, it's just the top level of the FBI, you know, the rank and file are good people. Even Matt Bracken won't buy that. They've been on a hiring kick for years now, looking for these sociopaths, psychopaths, liars, deceivers, Machiavellian types. You know, the end justifies the means, not justice. I'm not saying they're all that way, but I've run into very few that aren't that way. What about the price of butter in Denmark? Tom A. Ohio. That's good. I like that. Yeah, we need a little levity once in a while. A troll Bill of Rights. Okay, yeah, right. All right. FBI, Keystone Cops. No. What they do is by design. They know exactly what they're doing. If you read this thing by True Pundit, the top brass was telling those FBI agents that did want to do the investigation properly to ignore the evidence and stuff and to drop it, to leave it alone. So there are good people there, but I believe that they're definitely not a majority. Definitely not. Terror attack at Travis Air Force Base in Fairfield County this morning. Hadn't heard that. I'll have to check it out. See what I mean? This is just going to continue. And it's going to get worse, especially with these crazy kids out there, you know, talking about, you know, they want to have a right to talk, but they're going to rip up the Bill of Rights and the First Amendment that gives them that right, and then say that you can't exercise your Second Amendment. This is an all-out assault because they always use the kids, the Hitler Youth, right? Oh, and the other one that gets me, right? Support our troops. You know, they came up with that little saying so that you couldn't object to the wars. But you can support the troops without saying you're going to support the war. Oh, but we need to give them the material to go over there and do that, or you're not supporting them. No. You support them by bringing them home. Yeah, the blocks have been coming from the senior executive service. I think we've finally, and we all knew kind of what it was, but it took Field McConnell and Douglas Gabriel, also known as Thomas Paine, to really kind of spell all this out. George Webb did a pretty good job of it too. There's been a little bit of rubbing between George Webb and Douglas Gabriel, but I think that was a misunderstanding from what I can see. They're really both on the same page. All right. They lied about Hitler. I know there's a whole lot of stuff. There's everything from he didn't do what they said he did to, you know, the fact he didn't die in the bunker and he was in Argentina. Well, I was in Argentina. You know, and there was evidence that he had been there. I'll just leave it at that. Okay. Yeah, the kids are being manipulated. You know, it's bad when you're going to be suspended for not wanting to take part in a political rally like that. The education system was taken over years ago, and if anybody studied the Weather Underground and the Communist Manifesto, it tells you how to do it. It tells you that, and they tell you they're going to do it. You know? Okay, and I agree with this. Jackie Allspaw, I think that's how you say it. Thank you, President Trump, for what you have done and trying to do. I won't disagree with that. But A lot of people have been telling him it's time to take the gloves off. Does he have a timetable? You know what? Sometimes the general just has to listen to his staff. He has to listen to the other voices outside of his little clique or his plan that he thinks is so many generals. I'm not saying, yeah, Trump is like this actually. They think that, they're perfect, that they've got it all figured out. Have you ever heard of General Montgomery? Ever heard of General Montgomery? World War II, right? The little rivalry between him and Patton. General Montgomery was probably one of the poorest generals in the world, but he really thought, in history, but he really thought he was something. And he wouldn't listen to anybody. Trump can't do that. Trump has to start looking to other people if he's not getting what he needs out of those people that he surrounded himself with. John Bolton, he probably understands the inner workings of the White House, no doubt about that. But if Trump doesn't keep a tight rein on him, control, Bolton will mess him up. I'll just say it right now. Bolton will mess him up. Yeah, Bolton could clear out the Hamas, Muslim Brotherhood hiding it within the White House and the State Department, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah, he could. I'm not going to accuse him of not being a true American, but I don't trust him as a war hawk. We've had enough of that. Okay. Yeah, if the deep state, I like this, T-Man. If the deep state regains total power, Trump and everybody else are done. Exactly. This is our last chance. If people can't see that, they're blinding themselves. They're fooling themselves. This is our last chance. Do we want to attack prematurely? Eisenhower didn't do that on D. He selected a time, a D-Day. And he did these other feints to fool the Germans. You know how the whole story goes. I agree. But again, like I said, you cannot fail to act either. And I gave the information about me with the squad, leading the squad and getting under fire and not acting. Okay, you can't fail to act. Because if they do take control this time, they're going to make sure we don't get it back. Look at how they're shutting down, they're censoring our efforts on YouTube, on Twitter, et cetera, et cetera. They're not going to let that happen again where, Twitter's used to reach millions and millions of people. They're not going to allow that. We've got to take that away from them now. This thing with Facebook, with, them going after Facebook and Zuckerberg is a good thing, but you got to remember who's actually in control of Facebook. And everybody always forgets this. It's the intelligence community. It's the fifth column. It's the CIA. It's the FBI. It's MI6, et cetera, Mossad. I can go on and on. So, trying to make it look like Facebook is in trouble and they're going to get sued and all that, this could all be a show. I don't trust it. The only way we can guarantee that is if Trump takes control of our internet, takes it back. And I realize there are some problems with that, but he's got to do it. Under the national emergency he's declared, he needs to take back that infrastructure and put it back under our control. Okay. Okay. Yeah, Walter, I like that. Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube are going to be seized by Trump. They should be. Yeah. Brought under antitrust, seized for the good of, and this is a form of martial law. This is a form of dictatorship. But it's not unlawful when we're trying to save the Constitution. Have you noticed how the Dems and the left is now except for that stupid girl that ripped up the Bill of Rights, how they're all touting the Constitution now to oppose Trump. You know, they never get it right. They never get their timing right. They're never right about anything. It's all hype and baloney. Okay. Oh, now there's a guy who knows the truth. You're a truth teller. Greg Johnson. It's Miller time. How long have we been going? An hour and 15 minutes. Great on you, Greg. Outstanding. Oh, man, now somebody says I'm a CIA plant. You know, if you believe that, you know, you're as stupid as you look. And I'm just going to say it, you know. Go somewhere else, all right? You know, I've got more proof of what I am than probably anybody else on the internet, save possibly, I don't even know who else I could name. I've been doing this since 1979. Well, the first time I testified against a guy on the Brigadier General's list. Yeah. Don't tell me about that. No, if you accuse me of that, you know how I look at that? That's what you are. You accuse me of being a CIA plant with all the stuff I have to prove otherwise, that means you are. Difference between a bill and a budget. A budget, the president is bound by it. Well, first of all, frankly, an omnibus is unconstitutional if you really want to know the truth. An omnibus stopgap is what it is really unconstitutional. It has no legal force, and that's true. It really has no legal force. A budget, on the other hand, does. Now, the problem is what I pointed out at the beginning of this, or halfway through it, or whatever. The Dems aren't stupid. The deep state isn't stupid. They didn't just hand over to Trump the keys to their demise. Don't fall for that BS. They're not that stupid. Could Trump have slipped in a few things? Yes. But don't you think for a minute that they don't have control of this situation. Can he go ahead and use, because of the national emergency he declared, take the military and put it on our border? Yeah. Build a wall? Probably. But again, the wall is not a big issue for me. Everybody trying to make it a big issue. Military on the border, that's a whole other story. And if you go back, I'm going to say it again, look at my video, my documentary, Borders, Mexican Drug War or Insurrection. It's about an hour and maybe 10, 20 minutes, if that long. It might only be 90 minutes. But it'll show you that, especially towards the end when I go over the thing with the National Wildlife Refuge there. Okay. Yeah, time for a beer. American Woman. Boy, all right. Yeah, so you and Greg right there. Okay, yeah. Daryl, I realize that argument has been out there for a long time, that the Constitution has been suspended from anything from the 1879 thing with the District of Columbia and the United States Corporation, all the way through, 1913, the Federal Reserve, the Patriot Act, the ongoing National Emergency War Powers Act. I mean, we can sit here and do all that. Have you ever heard of Marbury versus Madison? Ever heard of that? Go look it up. All of those laws, quote unquote, are unconstitutional, void, null and void. Trump doesn't have to obey any of that stuff. Any law made contrary to the Constitution, doesn't matter what it is null and void at its inception. So I don't really, I've heard all the arguments about the 1879 thing, 1879, I'm pretty sure what it was. Maybe it was 1871, but you know what I'm talking about. They're all null and void. Acts of Congress that they are, they pass these stupid Second Amendment laws and stuff. They're all unconstitutional at their inception. An act of Congress does not supersede the Constitution. And if anybody with the guts, particularly the military, would challenge it, we wouldn't be in this mess. Oh, Roy, did you challenge it? What did I just tell you? I've been challenging it for 30-something years. Okay. What was that? Somebody give me a hot blunt so I can catch Roy's eye. I'm sorry. You know, I can't seem to get this thing to slow down. I don't know why. Let me see if I can change the chat rate here and see what's going on. I've got it as slow as it'll go. Let me see here if I can get this thing to... Yeah, let's see. Okay, I found it. Hold on a second. Okay, Rack Attack Gamer. I gotcha. He says, oh my God, someone give me a hot blonde icon so I can catch Roy's eye. Okay. All right, well, I'm looking for you. Let me see if you pushed something on here that you wanted me to see. Let's see here. Okay, I don't see what else. I thought maybe you had another post there you wanted me to see, but I don't see it. So we'll just go. Okay. Yeah, they talk about the rule of law extinguish. Yeah. You notice they always want to talk about rule of law, and yet they're the most lawless group in the Congress, in the federal bureaucracy, even our local governments. They'll talk about rule of law when it benefits them to say that, but they don't follow the law. They don't, and we all know that. Yeah, Flynn better get cleared of all charges. He'd better. You know, that's inexcusable what happened to him and his family. Inexcusable. All right. See if there's anything else. Yeah, Carla Reagan. I heard the Corps of Engineers is going to build gallows. They wouldn't waste their time. Remember, I put up a video here a while back, and the title of it was, "It's easier to kill 1 million people than it is to control 1 million people." And everybody was saying, well, not everybody. I put that up there without quoting who it came from, because I just wanted to see what would happen. And I had people accusing me of, fear mongering and all that. They had no idea. Do you know who said that? It's easier to kill 1 million people. Actually, the whole quote is, it used to be in history, it was easier to control 1 million people than it was to kill 1 million people. But today, it's easier to kill 1 million people than it is to control 1 million people. Do you know who said that? Zbigniew Brzezinski. Okay? Apply that to what you just said. I think that speaks tons. Okay. Yeah. Trump has some, and I'm not an expert again on finances, but Trump has some leeway in the omnibus. But like I said, don't think that the Democrats and the deep state don't have that covered. Don't fall for that. Remember, if Trump can fool them, they can fool him. Okay, this is a two-way street. This isn't being done in a vacuum. Look how they've kept the Mueller investigation going when he's done it on nothing. Look how long they've been doing it. No, we've got a problem. Okay. Well, almost an hour and a half. I got to sign off, everybody. Okay, thanks for coming. I appreciate you being here. I hope that it was worthwhile. Yes, I want things to happen. I hope that Trump does the right thing. I trust that he will, but I got to verify it too. I have to see the rhetoric being met with actions on the ground. Action must occur, as I've talked about. Failure to act is reason for what? Relief of duty. Okay? And that goes for even the president. If he doesn't do this, and he's going to be relieved whether he wants to or not by force by these idiots if he doesn't do something. Okay? All right. Thanks for coming. God bless you. God bless yours. God bless the Constitutional Republic of the United States of America and the Second American Revolution that is having great problems right now. And yes, God bless President Donald Trump and all his righteous endeavors, and certainly his family. Everybody, I hope you have a nice evening. Thanks for coming Saturday night. Hopefully I didn't walk over anybody's program. I certainly don't ever intend to do that, but it's almost unavoidable, I also know. Okay, we'll see you next time out here.